All right. Welcome to episode number 10 at the Wellness at Your Home podcast. I am your host, Vinny Muscatello, here with my co-host, Mr. Jack Piccaro. We're really excited about today's guest, but we're going to just get through some normal stuff as we always do. Again, this podcast is sponsored by Orange County Pools, Wellness New England, and of course, Wellness at Your Home. You could check us out on any of those websites. We'll just run through them again for the 10th time. OrangeCountyPools.com, WellnessNewEngland.com, and WellnessAtYourHome.com. So again, like I told you, like every week, we have a really special guest this week joining us. We have Dr. Millan. Hello, Dr. Millan. How are you?
Hi, I'm good.
Fascinating. We're super excited to have you on. Dr. Millan is a acupuncturist here right in Beacon, New York. And as everybody knows, we talk wellness and we talk alternative wellness. And we thought it was important to bring on one of the oldest forms of wellness in acupuncture and also in Chinese medicine as well too. So how we like to get started is the journey. Mm-hmm. So I want to sort of start by talk about where you're from, and then sort of how we got to this point. So we could tell you have a little bit of an accent.
Yes.
So where are you from originally?
Well, I'm from Puerto Rico.
Okay.
I was born and raised there. I used to live in the southwest area of the island. And, I grew up there. And I studied biology with the purpose of studying Western medicine. My mom, she was a doctor. My father was a professor in the university where I did my bachelor's, and he also studied science. So I always been around science and medicine my whole life, and I saw my mother practicing, so that kind of inspired me to study biology, and I'm fascinated about biology and medicine overall. I finished my bachelor's and then I started working in a filtration water plant.
So like a water treatment plant.
Like a water treatment plant. As a, I was licensed. It was more involved with chemistry. And then I just got a crisis and I was just like, no, I don't want to do this. I want to study medicine and this and that. And then I moved to New York with the purpose of studying Western medicine. I went to the school and just something, when something is not right for you, you kind of know. You kind of feel it in your body.
So really quick, let me ask you a question now. So what type of doctor was your mom?
She was a general doctor. She wanted to focus on either cardiologist or dermatologist after.
Oh, wow.
She was also a professor.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So you come from a very academic family. You have your mom who's a doctor, your dad's a professor. Mm-hmm. You said he was a professor. What was he a professor of?
Biology, anatomy, lab.
Wow.
So things related to science, zoology too.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So again, very, very science and Western medicine based.
Yes.
So
very,
so
very very analytical and how can I say that?
Fact-based?
Fact-based and evidence-based, family. Give me the proof and then I can believe that.
So interesting. So then you come to New York with the mindset that you're going to go to medical school.
Yes.
So first you went to college, studied biology, you worked in the water treatment plant. Then you're like, I'm coming to New York and I'm going to be a doctor.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to a typical medical school. I'm gonna be a cardiologist, or I'm gonna be a surgeon, or whatever. You weren't sure exact.
I wanted to be a general surgeon.
Okay.
Or I love animals since I was a kid, so I also thought about doing veterinary medicine, but then I was like, no, I'm too sensitive to animals, so that's when I was just like, maybe I would just do the surgeon thing. So why the reason for leaving Puerto Rico and coming to New York to do that? Did you get into med school up here, or you just needed a change of pace from the island? Well, I needed the change because of the economy and things like that. I mean, I love Puerto Rico. I wish I could be there sometimes. I also love New York. I have family here too, which made it a lot easier for me to move here. They were very supportive um, when I made that transition and that big jump. Um, and yeah, I just wanted a change.
You wanted to
mostly.
change the pace.
Yeah.
So New York, here we come. New York bow, where dreams are made. And then go ahead.
Prior to you coming to New York, how old were you when you were at the water plant and you were like, this isn't for me?
I started there maybe when I was like 22, and then I moved to New York when I was like 26, 25, 26. So
Oh, wow.
I worked there for like maybe 4 years.
And you were just like, this is not for me. I got to do something else.
Yeah, and it was a
feel
very
that.
demanding job, because I was in charge of the drinking water, and if I mess it up, like,
Yeah.
it's dangerous, for the public health.
Wow.
But yeah, and then I would work holidays. It was a great job. But then I was just like, no, this is not for me. Yeah.
So you get on the plane and, you came here wanting to do general medicine. And what kind of sparked that switch into Western and then acupuncture and then everything else you do?
Well, actually going to a medical school to like find information and apply. As soon as I walk in, I was just like, no, I always like help people. I wanted to be involved in like medicine in some way, but there are some things that didn't resonate with who I am. And I just thought about, I need to do something else, and I'm going to find out what it is that I can still help people be involved in Western medicine somehow, but helping people in more like a holistic, natural way. And then one day I just woke up and I was just like, oh wait, I remember that my father had acupuncture when I was a kid. And then like he suffered from like back pain, and then that really like helped him a lot. And I was just like, let me go check the acupuncture school. I called them. I called to 2 different schools. I don't remember the first school that I called, but then I called the second one, which is Pacific College of Oriental Medicine, which is where I did my degree. And then they were like, yeah, you can just come in today if you have time. And then I went there and I was just like, I'm going to try this.
And
Yeah.
it actually works out because you were a biology major, so you already had an understanding of the body. Your mom's a doctor. Your dad teaches it as well too. So, because I don't know much about it, so if somebody wants to get into school to be an acupuncturist, do you have to have a degree in biology or something like pre-med before they'll accept you, or do they take anybody?
They can take anybody as long as you like, pass all the qualifications, because you do a bachelor's and a master's. So you can, let's say you study like administration and then you decide to go to do acupuncture, you don't need a science background to apply to the school.
It's because they're gonna cover that in school. You're gonna take basic anatomy. And
Yeah.
So you have your biology degree, and now you have to then, if you're not trained, you have to go back and get your bachelor's and your doctorate in is it acupuncture degree a grad degree, or is it both combined? You have to get.
Well, it's both combined. You don't have to do the doctorate degree, but you have to do like, it's combined a bachelor's and a master's. And like I said, like they don't require you to like study biology or like basic science, because they will cover that. So when I applied to the school and I started taking classes, they honor some of my credits there. So there were some classes that I didn't need to take because I already like took them when I was in college.
So outside of your dad having, his issues with his lower back, because I was reading that on the website as well too, and him having the experience with acupuncture, what do you think drew you? Did you have like some sort of experience outside of that as a kid that sort of, or something innate in you like that drew you to the alternative based stuff? Like you said, you had sort of an epiphany, but was there anything leading up to that part of your life that you maybe had? Because you also do energy healing as well too.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there was something in you always that was drawing you to that sort of side of things?
Maybe. I mean, I'm not quite sure. I also like wanted to like use it for myself and then for my own like healing. Because I wanted to also like eat better and things like that. But when I went to acupuncture school, I was very like science based and evidence based. But I went there and then I wanted to try it because I was just like, well, this is one of the oldest medicine in the whole world and it's still going on. And then seeing my father that it worked for him and all that, it was just like a spark, almost when you fall in love with someone. Like,
I love that.
then you feel like that spark. So that's what I felt when I went to the school.
Wow.
Like, yeah.
That's a really amazing way to describe something that you truly love. It's like literally like when you first fall in love with somebody. That's the feeling you felt when you went to that school.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious. So again, we're talking about you were very Western science, fact-based stuff in that realm. So when you tell your parents, your mom's a doctor, your dad's a professor, Mom and Dad, I think I want to go into this realm. What was their take on this?
I mean, it was okay. Like, I mean, my dad was really excited, and then he was like, "Yeah, like go for it." But then, of course, like he was like a little bit worried of like, "Oh, this like is how many years? It's gonna be really like intense, like study and things like that." But like, yeah, it was very exciting.
That's really cool.
They were very supportive. Yeah.
Yeah. So reading your website, was it your dad had like a traumatic injury that occurred that hurt his back, or it was just like he's always had back problems that acupuncture was the way it got fixed?
Yeah, I think he didn't have any like injuries. He was just like common back pain, I guess, that people get with like age. I think.
Gotcha. Because the reason I ask is I was reading this psychologist Carl Jung that Peterson was talking about. He talks about this theory. It's like the wounded healer theory, and what it is like are you familiar with that? This like theory about your dad had back pain. You grew up with seeing him have back pain, and then he went to acupuncture and he got it fixed. So you, in science base, you have a better chance of being a better healer for people because you experienced it and it like kind of nestled within you. That makes sense. I'm kind of butchering it, but it was this whole thing. I read it the other day, and it was literally just talking about if you like, for example, I want to be a chiropractor because what happened to my mom. Yeah. Because I experienced that, you're more like empathetic towards other people. Do you agree with that? Like, how do you feel towards that?
I kind of agree with that at some level. That doesn't mean like if somebody has experiencing that maybe like that person will not practice as better as the other person who did. But I do feel like it can play a big part of like how you practice and how empathetic you are, and like even like understanding the pain that that person is like going through. Like also like I have people that come with just to fix emotional issues and things like that, and like I can resonate with them, and then like I can like understand them and be very empathetic and like treat them.
So that's the beauty of acupuncture, is that it's not just for physical things. It could be for things that people are suffering emotionally or mentally.
Yeah. And
the thing that I'm most excited about, and I tell this to every guest on my podcast, like pre-COVID, I was sort of, Western based. I was as straight as they could come. But the beauty, if I can tell, if you can take one thing that came out of COVID as a positive, there were many things, but one thing is that people are starting to look and just ask questions outwardly about, well, is there another way? Is there something else we can do? Like you talk about, acupuncture has been around for thousands upon thousands of years, and it was used to treat many different ailments for a long time. And as I always say, there is a wonderful and needed place for Western medicine. It saves lives every single day. But there's also things that Western medicine is not good at treating, that where we need people like you and other alternative therapies to sort of jump in. Yeah. So I was making a little bit of a joke with Jack when we came in. We were talking about his ADD, and kind I'm like, is there anything that within your treatment, on any of your treatments that you do, and we'll go over all of them and we'll promote all the different treatments because you do a lot of different things. Really cool. But is there anything that you would say, you know, Jack comes in, he's like, you know what, I just can't focus. I'm suffering from ADD. How can you help me without, you know, some other options?
Yeah, so the beauty about acupuncture and Chinese medicine is like I can have two people coming for ADHD and I can treat them totally different depending on their pattern and other things that are going on in their life because we take into consideration the person as a whole. So I will first start asking questions of like general questions. Sometimes we start from childhood until the current age, and we ask about sleep, digestion, stress, lifestyle, things like that. And then we, depending on what they answer or like what he will answer, I can like choose my points. We also feel the pulse and we see the tone that help us to like do a better diagnosis and to choose points. And let's see, I mean, when I was in school, I have problems of focusing, so we can treat it more. If I wanna do maybe like a basic treatment without concentrating on the person as a whole, I will mostly work on like the brain and gut connection, and then do some like calming points and then some like moving points. I don't know if I'm answering your
No,
question.
you are. No, it's
Wait, can you say that again? I wasn't focused.
no, but it's funny because I mean I think someone like Jack and many people would benefit from that, and you know, it brings me to this sort of this next point, sort of in the vein of what you were just talking about. I mean, do you think a lot, and I'm sure I know the answer, but I want to hear from you. Do you think a lot of issues are developed from here that impact other places emotionally, mentally? How you are emotionally, mentally affects you physically?
Yeah, it does. You mean like your emotions?
Yes.
Overall? Oh yes, yeah. Even things, even fertility. Like some people think that they have a problem and I just work on their stress or I just work on their traumas and their emotions and then they get pregnant like that.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I know when my wife and I were first trying to have kids, it was like it wasn't happening because we were trying so much, and it became a mental thing.
Yes.
On that. Yeah, it's
so it's kind of like letting it go to allow it to happen. Not letting it go because some people are kind of like afraid, oh, I'm gonna let go of something and then it's gonna go away. I need to focus on this. So because I mean sometimes that's why people with ADHD can be really good at something because they're not focusing on something.
Story of my life.
well, I also think, and I also think this is very true. I think people that suffer from ADD or ADHD are typically highly intelligent.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
No, but I do. I mean, I tell people, you know, Jack is not a typical 22-year-old in a lot of. He's a typical 22-year-old in some senses, but not a typical 22-year-old in other senses. He's very well read. He's very thoughtful. It's much deeper. He's getting excited.
Feeling good over here, man. Heck yeah.
But I've noticed that again when you're very smart, you know, and you have all these things running through your mind, it's hard to sort of take them and focus.
Yeah.
So I that's just something that I've noticed. Usually I see very highly intelligent people that are like that. They suffer because I can't imagine you're so intelligent that your brain is just firing on all sorts. I mean even look at like a guy like Elon Musk, who's extremely like brilliant, and when you hear him talk, he's like going from one thought to the next.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't stop. But that's how his brain works. And for somebody like me, we're like, whoa, wait, can you go back to that? Slow it down a little. And he's like, whoa, you know, so.
That's funny. When did you like finish our acupuncture school and you got licensed? What year roughly?
Well, I finished acupuncture school in December 2019. I was living in the city, and then right after I finished school, I was just like, I'm gonna move to the Hudson Valley. I wanted to move to this area. Um, I have family in Fishkill and Newburgh, so I was familiar already. And I finished December 2019. 2 weeks after finishing school, I got accepted to an apartment, moved here, study for my boards. I needed to take 3 of them. They were pretty intense.
Yeah.
It was like maybe 2-3 hours each of the test. And I got my license in March, a week after COVID.
Nice.
You're right there.
Yeah.
Have you because I didn't even know until 20 minutes ago when you first came in that you could do acupuncture for ADD. Never even occurred to me. Have you noticed? I know we talked about like the mental health aspect growing, but there's always been a stigma around mental health, especially in men. Like, it's anxiety, depression. It's not real. Have you noticed a change in people coming to acupuncturists and like for these type of like anxiety or depression as to opposed to just taking an antidepressant or something?
Yes, yeah. I've been treating people, men and women, that they take Western medication for depression, anxiety, ADD. Of course, they always consult with the doctor. They say, I'm going to get acupuncture for this because I want to start, stop taking the medicine at some point. It has to be a slow process. You cannot stop a medication like that from one day to another because it can cause some health complication. And of course, I need to also talk with the doctor to make sure that they give the permission for the patient to do that. And I successfully have treated people that they come off the medication and then they just do the acupuncture for that until they get to a point that they just come for maintenance.
I think the beauty of acupuncture too is that I think a lot of Western trained doctors, because acupuncture has been around so long and there's studies that have proven that of how effective it works on certain things with like I said, with infertility, with depression and anxiety, that I think a lot of doctors are more open to saying, yeah, give it a try, because this is something that could again take you off of the pill, which is just treating the symptom.
Yeah.
And hopefully giving somebody a long lasting, a non-medicated way to get better. And again, I always say this is I'm the last person to not advocate for medicine. Medicine plays an important part of what we do. But again, there are things that you can do to self-heal and to also work with people like Dr. Millan to help you get better without having to take that pill. Yeah. Which is a benefit. I mean, the longer somebody can be off something that's not natural, the better that could be. Now, so how does, obviously it's tied in, but with your sort of your Chinese herbal medicine. So how does that play into your practice as well too?
Wait, can you repeat that question again?
Yeah, no problem.
ADD right there.
No, but in terms of you do the Chinese herbal medicine as well too. So how does that play into the acupuncture part of it? So if somebody comes in for a particular mental, physical thing, there might be herbs and something that you mix together that helps with that treatment plan, I would assume.
Yeah, well, I educate the patient of hey, I recommend this herb for you, and then I tell them what they are. I know most of them what they're Chinese or Latinx because we need to learn that in school. And a lot of people I have found that they're kind of afraid of taking herbs, because they can be really potent, and I had to make sure they're a good fit for it and then they qualify for it, because with the herbs they take that internally, so you have to make sure that you're prescribing the correct herbs to them, and then once they say yes, I can just order them for those people. And then if they're taking any medication, then I will tell them keep taking your medication until the doctor says that you can start reducing them. reproducing the dosage or whatever, and then I tell them to just like take them maybe at least 1 or 2 hours apart from the medication that they're
From
taking.
their actual medicine.
Yes.
And what's a distinguishing factor in person A can take this herb and person B can't take this herb? Say me and Vinny go and we both have ADD. What makes it different for him to be able to take a herb as opposed to me? Is it like genetic? Is it what he's allergic to? Like,
It could be like allergies. It could be genetic, not so much, but like any other things that I will maybe think. Then, I mean, everybody will benefit from herbs. It's just like the potency and which type of herbs I will prescribe to them. It all comes back to like the person as a whole. But all people, everyone qualified to take herbs. It's just a matter of like which one I will prescribe. So for you, I will prescribe something different. I will prescribe to Vinny.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And before we go any further, I just want to promote your website. It's drmillan.com, and Jen will put up this proper spelling, but it's drmillan.com, and you can get all her info. So how do I say? Is it Solarina?
Yes.
See, I did it.
First try.
He was like, "You can't say." I'm like, "No, it's obviously Latin or it's Spanish. It's like Solarina. You can't say Solarina."
Give it to you.
Solarina.
I'll give it to you.
What does Solarina mean? What is it?
Well, Solarina is I made up that. Solarina is like two separate words. Sol, which means the sun, and arena means sand.
Oh, okay.
So I combine those two because in Chinese medicine there's something called like heaven and earth, and we are in between. So that the name Solarina comes kind of like from that, which is like we are in between like the sun and the sun, which is like the heaven and earth.
Love that.
That's awesome.
That's a really good name, and I like that too because I'm recently in the past year or so I've been really into grounding. There's something I'm not a beach guy. I'm more of a pool guy. but
That's good.
but there is like my wife and kids. They love the beach. I just you get sand in your sandwich. It's just not fun. But as someone who grew up on an island, I mean, there is something very healing when you put your feet into the sand. It's that connection of the earth and the energy and how that flows. Because there's something to it. You do feel different when you put your feet into the sand, or when you walk on grass with no shoes on. There is something to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's very grounding. We connect with the earth. We connect with ourselves too. You know, you're more aware of your feet and like, oh wait, like this. I'm actually feeling this with the bottom of my feet, which like, and it's like it's nature, and you know we. In a way, like in science, you know, we are animals as well. So it's important to like, I think, make that connection. And like, you know, the waves, they have frequency. So that's also like healing for you, you know, the vibration and the sound. I think that can also heal you too in a way.
I'm a big believer in it. I mean, I know it's hard to ground during New York winters. I mean, look, Jack and I talked about it the other day. I mean, I think seasonal depression is a real thing.
Yeah.
It's tough when you go through we start to roll into the winter and it gets dark at 5:00 and it's cold and it's gray. So I definitely think there's something to be able to see the sun, put your feet in the sand or on the grass. That is healing.
Yeah. What are some things that you do during this time of year that helps keep you kind of grounded?
Well, I love cooking. So I like to like cook.
Nice.
Maybe I'm part of this group that we try to meet weekly, where we get together. It's more like a potluck type of thing. So like socializing, like of course it has to be like inside. Do more like self-care, although I always tell people to do self-care all year round. And then just like take it slow, and just like do things that are not outside or like outdoors that will make you happy. But like for me, like I like to do cooking or like watch movies. I like to like maybe write or like read. Um, and then socialize also. I think I'm very social.
You like to be
so
social. That's a
um,
that's definitely a Latin thing. You like to
Yeah.
you like so, and family's very important.
mhm.
What do you like to cook? I mean, are we going like traditional like Puerto Rican food, or do you like, what is your
Everything.
everything? But
I love food.
but is there a go-to, like what would you say your best dish is that you cook?
Oh, of course, a Puerto Rican dish, which is the pernil and arroz and like all that. That's like my favorite. That's like my favorite. What I love to cook and like my best like dish. But if I'm on a weekday, I mostly cook like veggies, or if during winter I cook like soup because that's also very nourishing and comfort
Nice.
food. So that's I always recommend people that are going through like seasonal affective disorders that they do like they cook food. I'm sorry, they cook soup. Um, because that's also like very nourishing and like comfort.
I love it.
And
Well,
will help. Will help with
I like
that.
I like all that stuff. So if you ever feel like dropping off a tray or something, I could
Yeah.
I could
Sounds more appetizing than Chipotle. I'll tell you that.
So I was looking at your website. I'm so curious about moxa. What I've never heard of that. What is it?
Well, moxa is a herb that it grows all over New York.
Okay.
And it's a technique that is like Asian too. It's part of the traditional Chinese medicine. They basically like dry the herb and then they make it like that, as you can see. And then I just put it in acupuncture points, and then I like burn it with an incense, and it just go like deep in the body. Helps to warm the body. Helps for inflammation.
Oh,
It's also very good for fertility. It's good for pain. The herb is mugwort. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
no.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So literally so for those who won't see, we'll put a picture up in the editing part of it, but it's literally, it looks like a green herb, not the one you're thinking, but it looks like it looks like that, and literally you put a match to it and set it on fire, and it's sort of there's something underneath it on your back or whatever point, and then it burns out. So you have this deep warming feeling, and it
Yeah.
helps control inflammation. And so if I'm having lower back issues, this looks like it's on the small of the back. You could potentially put
I can put it there.
Right
too.
there.
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. And it's also good to use it during winter too because it brings like warmth to the body.
Oh, that's all. I'm gonna try that. And I don't want to pronounce this one. I know, Jack, you've done this one before. The
Gua
Oh,
sha?
the
Guasha.
gua sha?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gua sha it's the worst thing ever, but it's great for you. When I had it done, at least. Like it was
rough.
I tore my bicep. Well, I partially tore it or something, and I went to a chiropractor who I was mentoring under the time. Shout out to Dr. Brett. And he just took this blade and just rubbed over it to get all the stem cells to go to it, and it was the worst pain I've ever felt. It healed like in 2 weeks. I was good. I was lifting again, but it was terrible. It was so bad.
Yeah, I don't do it that rough, but it works.
You have a little nicer touch to it.
Yeah. It does work for like injuries, because it brings circulation. It also helps to break any scar tissue like in the area, and it just brings circulation and healing properties to the area, and then helps for like muscle inflammation or like obstruction. If you have muscle tension, it helps to release that tension as well. I also do facial acupuncture, so sometimes I will do it on the face for like lifting, for like puffiness, bags under the eyes, and things like that.
I saw that and it scared me a little. So
That's my biggest fear.
but I've done acupuncture before, and I'm curious what your take is on this, for me. So I found it very effective. My issue is I have a tough time laying in one position for a long time. So I don't know if there's been any way, so I used to go to a wonderful lady in Newburgh, and she helped me with with a lot of issues. But again, my mind, it doesn't sit still. I have a tough time. I don't have ADD, but I have a tough time like just not doing anything. So laying there, and then I guess it's a feeling because you can't move. You have needles in you, so you can't turn over. So I would struggle staying in a particular place for a long time. Are there ways to do shorter sessions with acupuncture? Or you really have to just deal with it?
Well, I have people that cannot stay like longer than a typical treatment, and I always I they could have a shorter session, but I always try to do some things before they get the treatment to see if they can quiet their mind and they can stay still and relax. And I've been able to do that. Some people fall asleep. Other people, they just ask, "Oh, can you check in like 15 minutes?" And then I just go in the room and then check. I think that also kind of like helps them a little bit. If you like in mid treatment, you just go there and just have a little talk and then kind of like leave the room. Sometimes that's also help. But if the person they just want a shorter treatment, I think they can still do that. But I always try to do something before, like I can use essential oils to like calm the person, or I can start with some points that are more calming than like moving, and that will also kind of like helps them to stay like longer on the table.
That makes sense. I think my biggest issue also was if I was getting treated and there was a particular point that was painful where there's not a lot of muscle, like if it's going into the ankle or the feet, that used to be crazy because I would just be going in, you have that immediate like, but then it's fine. But then I'm just thinking about that one thing that's sort of throbbing. You know, there are certain areas that you could have that sort of like that
Pulsating,
Yeah.
throbbing sound. But I was always trying to be a trooper because I wanted to get the most benefit out of it. So that was my biggest struggle with it. I loved the treatment part of it. I thought it was very beneficial, and I'd still like to sort of get it as a part of my wellness as a part of my wellness routine. Like I told you earlier on, I have Hashimoto's, and you know, I think there's a lot of thing in the autoimmune world just because, you know, again, this is one area where Western medicine doesn't really, you know, they give you the level of thioxarine to create, I think that's the name of it. I completely butchered that, but where you're taking a medicine to help your thyroid, but once you're on it, you're on it forever.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think there's people that are trying to find ways where they don't have to be on a medicine forever. Have you treat autoimmune at all?
Yeah. I have treated a lot of autoimmune disease with like success. That's something that requires, I mean, mostly when you come to get acupuncture, if you come for something that is chronic, it's something that requires multiple treatments. Acupuncture is also cumulative, so the more you start getting, the more effect. I mean, it's still gonna have a huge impact in the body on the first treatment, but the more you get, the better you're gonna get. But yeah, with like things with autoimmune, depending what autoimmune is, but with Hashimoto's, I usually, depending on the pattern of the person, I can work a lot on the gut. There's something called spleen channel. I can also focus on that, which is, you know, mostly about immunity and inflammation. I can also work on that as well. Yeah, people they do get better.
Do you, so when I would assume that when somebody comes in, you sort of, again, sit with them, sort of see what's going on, and then you come up with a treatment plan. So in the world of acupuncture, is a treatment plan something that's ongoing, or is it sort of like, okay, you know, for the first 4 months, I need to see it twice a week, and then after 4 months, you get into like a maintenance program? Is that how it works, or is it like once you in it? I guess it would depend on the issue, but I would assume that you would probably, like you said, look, the more you can commit to it, the better you're going to feel.
I mean, for some cases, that would be ideal, but the goal of acupuncture, you know, I see acupuncture more as a guide for the own person to do like their own body to do their healing, and I'm just bringing like it's a little knock on the door, basically, like, oh hey, like it's time to fix this, and then it's your own body who does it. Even though I know I mentioned on the website that I like to work with energy and like energy healing and things like that, but I do believe that the practitioner brings a tool, and then it's the person who's doing the healing, like the patient.
I love that.
Yeah.
That was clip that, Jen. That was dope. That's going on a reel. That was awesome. That's like the perfect way to describe it, though. Like most people, that was awesome. Wow.
Thank you. So yeah, like the goal is for the person to heal, but so I have people that they come for maintenance, and I do tell people it's more beneficial if you come once a week for, I don't know, 12 treatments or like 14 treatments. But as they come on each treatment, I also do like a reevaluation, maybe every 4 to 5 treatments, to see if they can start reducing the treatment, if we need to like increase it, or if the path or the pattern of the treatment is good, and then they just need to come like once a week. Yeah.
How much does sort of spirituality play with what you're doing? I mean, you mentioned the very beginning, the God connection in that. So are you a spiritual person? How much does that sort of play in what you're doing?
Well, let me see.
I know we're going deep here.
Okay.
I am a spiritual person. I think working on the spirit could have also like a big impact on their healing, because if the spirit is kind of like stressed out or things like, or I don't know, like that's like something, but I do like to work on the spirit, because I think that could have like an impact on the healing, just like calming the spirit, aligning with your own body.
Do you meditate at all or anything like that?
I try.
Try.
It's impossible. I'm telling you. I try, but 2 minutes, I'm good.
I feel like, however people see meditation, that's how it works for them.
I like
Some
that.
people, they see meditation as like, sitting and like meditating and things like that, and doing breathing. I do believe that breathing properly and doing some breathing work could have a huge impact on the health and healing. So on my treatments, I will guide the patient to like breathe also, have a really like deep breathing from the belly, not from the chest. We usually tend to have like short like breathing in our life. But if you see a baby, the baby is always breathing from the belly.
See, but as you're explaining that, I'm trying to breathe right. I'm sitting here going,
Breathe it into the mic.
yeah, some creamy. No, don't do that. But no, it's so interesting, and I'm always interested in sort of the spiritual side of things. I mean, I think as beings, it's sort of a, you can sort of go in so many different directions here. Looking like I was, I'm Catholic. I was raised Catholic, and
Me too. Yeah.
and you have this sort of the very boom, boom, boom thing. This is what you do. You make your communion, you make your confirmation, you go to church on Sunday, but there's so much more outside of that as well too. So I'm always interested in look, it's normal. I think as we continue to progress on whatever this journey is that we're on, you continue to look at it more and more.
Yeah, and then acupuncture consider the spirit that, we treat the mind, body, spirit. Is just part of like holistic medicine. In like, Reiki also takes that into consideration. Then, acupuncture, some therapists as well, they also like life coach, things like that, even nutrition.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And obviously you have people coming to you with some serious problems that weighs heavy on you. Like, how do you balance filling, like Mike, we had a podcast with a guy, Mike Dennedy, shout out to Mike, and he said you can't fill other people's cup unless yours is fully filled. So how do you balance, like working and taking all these people's stuff and trying to help them with figuring out your own stuff? Do you like have routines? Like, what's your system with that?
On each patient, you mean?
Just in
Or-
general, like just you're working, I make it like 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 every day. You're dealing with very heavy stuff. People are coming to you. They look for you as a guide, like you mentioned. How do you balance like hearing all this stuff, trying to diagnose them, trying to figure it out, and then fixing your own stuff outside of work?
Well, when it comes to treat the patient, like I'm very empathetic, but at the same time, I had to like put my own limits and my own boundaries, and then just make that connection of like patient practitioner,
Yeah.
and just like always remember that. Let me see. That's a complicated.
No, it is, but I think that's important
Yeah.
the way you describe it, because there are people that you can like, whoa, if you take all of that in, like you might not be able to go home and function. So you have to have that wall up where you're empathetic, but you have to keep everybody else's stuff at bay because you got your own stuff that you're dealing with too.
Yeah, it's important for a practitioner also to like, you know, we treat people, we like to help people, but then we also have to like have our like treatments that accept treatment from other people and accept help from other people too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so important. So if we're talking about, as our listeners and people that watch us, because this is going to be both on audio and video, on Spotify and YouTube, Facebook on video, but there are other applications. We'll just get the audio. If you could sort of tell everybody out there, like who is the ideal, who should come see you? Like
Everyone.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I knew you were going to say that. And I
Yeah.
agree. You represent a something that you do can benefit everybody.
Yeah.
Whether, like I said, whether we talked about it's an emotional, whether it's a physical, whether it's a combination of both.
Or even relaxation.
Or even
they just
relaxation.
want to do like, I just want to feel like I'm kind of like in a spa. I mean, acupuncture is not just like a spa treatment. Some people don't know anything about acupuncture, and then they just hear it's more like a relaxation thing. I always, even though I have people that they come, oh, I just want to try acupuncture for like relaxation. I mean, I still do my intake. I ask all the questions that I need to ask, and then I educate the person, and they have no idea. So even though someone is coming for relaxation, it's good to educate people because maybe they know somebody that acupuncture could help them a lot.
So currently, you have an office space. So if people want to make an appointment, they can go online, I would assume, or call you. How do they do it?
Yeah, they can send me an email or just call my number, which is on the website. And right now, above the Beacon Creamery, the address is like 134 Main Street. And in about a month, I'm gonna be moving to Kelta.
To Kelta, the new wellness center in Beacon, and we can talk about that a little too. So, Kelta is owned by a girl by the name of Taylor.
Yeah.
She just opened a brand new wellness center in Beacon. She has one of our cold plunges actually there, but she has the cold plunge, sauna,
Sensory tank where you lay and you float. I
Yeah.
don't know what it's
The
called.
sensory deprivation
That's what it is.
tank, or the floating, they call also
Yeah.
like floating tanks.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
And
they
then
have
you're going to have a
also-
space there too.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there providing acupuncture on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursday, and then there's gonna be another acupuncturist on Tuesdays and Fridays.
So full time they'll have an acupuncturist there.
Yes, Monday through Friday, and sometimes Saturdays too, if the schedule gets too busy. And I think she's located in 616 Route 52, something like that.
We'll pull it up and we'll add that in so we can check
Yeah.
that out. So make sure that you call or email
Yeah.
Dr. Millan, and I'm hoping that everybody else is educated about this ancient but still very relevant practice of acupuncture.
It's still. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but
No.
it's so old. It's like it's the oldest medicine, and it's still going on for a reason. And I think like acupuncture is great for like everybody. I had treated like kids, for concentration and school, like anything that you might think like, oh, I have this going on, like go get acupuncture and then at least try it, just give it a chance.
We're gonna get Jack on a treatment plan.
You guys are gonna notice. We're gonna keep this is gonna be proof in the podcast. You're gonna see throughout every podcast how much more focused I am.
You know what we got to do?
That would be a good experiment.
There we go.
Oh, well, he's focused right now. We got to film him off camera,
Oh yeah, you have no idea.
and then we could really put a nice little montage together and do it all. But thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks to you. I was so excited to do this.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Everybody, again, go to drmillan.com, call her, email her, and get some acupuncture. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
And-
I will be moving to Kelta in about a month. It's a great space. So if you want to schedule an appointment, also go check out the space. It's amazing.
And when you go there, you could always stop at Wellness at your home or right down the street.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you soon. Take care.